Recap the Heat versus Celtics back and forth series thus far. Jimmy Butler led Miami to a Game-1 win by becoming the 5th player in NBA history with a 40-point game in each of the first 3 rounds of a single postseason. The Celtics bounced back in a big way in Game 2 by making 10 more three-pointers than the Heat and winning by 25 points for just their 5th time in playoff history. In Game 3, Bam Adebayo put the team on his back, leading the Heat to a win by becoming the 4th center since 1973 to lead their team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, and steals in a playoff win. Talk about productivity. The trainer's room is busy for Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals as the status for many key players on both teams uncertain. Smart, Williams, Butler, Lowry, and Hero are all questionable, Jason Tatum being the only one of the bunch that is listed as probable for tonight's game. Stephen A., do you still believe the Celtics are winning the series now that Miami is up 2-1?
Yes. I haven't budged from that one bit. I picked the Celtics to win this series in 7 games, and I expect them to win this series in 7 games. I think that they're the better team. That's not to throw any shade on Miami. Miami has been very impressive. We got to look at them and respect the hell out of them and what they bring to the table. Jimmy Butler is a star in this league. I was sad to see him go down and not play in the second half, but props to the Miami Heat, their culture, their coach. And Bam Adebayo stepping up the way that he did. P.J. Tucker stepping up the way that he did as well. I'm just looking at some of the guys that showed up stressed with that big of the game. Obviously, they got guys that stepped in and said, Kyle Lowry giving you nearly 30 minutes when he had a hamstring injury and goes out there and gives you nearly 30 minutes and makes his contribution. Respect is given where it's due, and the Miami Heat are to be respected. But Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are who they are. Marcus Smart is who he is, the reigning defensive player of the year. I thought his ankle was broke. I couldn't believe he came back. That's why I was laughing when Trae Young sat up there and tweeted, the Boston Celtics got a hell of a medical staff. That's why he said. He said something, I'm paraphrasing, something to that effect, obviously, because we didn't expect Marcus Smart to come back. But I didn't call it TD Bank Garden. I called it TD Bank Infirmary. I mean, what the hell was going on? We started the game out, okay? Robert Williams wasn't going to play. Then Kyle Lowry had to go back to the locker room because he seemed to tweak something. Jimmy Butler goes down. Marcus Smart goes down. Jason Tatum looks like he separated his shoulder or something. He goes down, and then he comes back out, and the crowd roars and everything. I'm like, damn, all of these damn injuries were taking place. In the end, however, what it comes down to is that Boston turned the ball over too damn much. Jaylen Brown, to me, I believe Jaylen Brown is a star. Good brother, great player. He's a star in this league. Turned the ball over too damn much in that third quarter. That's why I called it one of the worst 40-point games I've seen. Had 5 turnovers in the third quarter. He got stripped about 4 different times by Victor Oladipo. That can't happen. And it seemed like every single turnover, JJ, that he committed was when Boston was trying to make a run. And somehow Jaylen Brown would turn the ball over, okay? And Jason Tatum had 6 turnovers, 13 turnovers with your 2 stars. That cannot happen if you're going to beat the Miami Heat. So all I'm saying is I don't believe that's going to happen too often. I think that the Boston Celtics are going to win. It's going to take 7 games, but Boston is going to go back to South Beach, and they're going to win in a Game 7. That is what I believe is going to happen.
I'm going to answer the question. Was that the most physical game you've seen in the playoffs this year?
It's so far.
Yes.
So far, yes.
And I think some of that probably led to those turnovers. I still believe the Celtics are going to win this series as well. And a lot of this depends on Marcus Smart. I'm not saying Marcus Smart is the best player on the Celtics, but to me, he is their most important player. And that has sort of shown in this series. He missed Game 1, they lose. He comes back for Game 2, he goes for 24 and 12, they win. Game 3, so much of that comeback was because of his just grit. I mean, him coming back after that ankle injury, TD Garden erupted, and then he hit that sidestep 3. That was peak sort of playoff crowd at that moment.
Yes, it was.
And so much of their struggles, to me, in Game 3 was a matter of pace and a little bit too much of target hunting. Going against a box and elbow set defense for the Miami Heat is not a formula for winning basketball. The Heat sort of changed their strategy. I thought having Kyle Lowry back, his throw-ahead passes, being able to get the pace going early in the game was huge. And then Bam, just being a facilitator, slipping behind screens, playing out of the short roll, dribble handoffs. The Heat felt like they made a choice in Game 3. We're going to not try to play against the Celtics half-court defense. We do not want to go against their set half-court defense, where the Celtics, just time and time again, were going against 5 bodies. And with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, I thought there were a number of times where they drove, they're being aggressive, I get it. They were driving without a plan. And so many of those turnovers were created by just getting into traffic and getting into space and not really having a plan of whether or not to shoot or draw a defender and kick. It was just being aggressive to be aggressive for that sake.
Well, let me say this to you. All of that's fine, good, and dandy, and I don't disagree with anything that you said. But we're not having this conversation if Jason Tatum shows up. Jason Tatum didn't show up in Game 3. He had more turnovers than field goals. This is Jason Tatum we're talking about here, okay? This is some people would say a superstar in this league. We've seen him put forth superstar performances, okay? But what we're waiting for is the level of consistency that he has robbed us of. We know what he can do, but are you going to do this on a continuous basis? I expect Jason Tatum to have a big game tonight because he was so putrid in Game 3, okay? But he's the kind of person that'll have a big-time game tonight, drop over 40, and then go back to South Beach for Game 5, and all of a sudden wet the bed again. Come back for Game 6, have a big game, and then it's up in the air what's going to happen for Game 7. He's got to put forth a level of consistency, and both him and Jaylen Brown have got to stop turning the damn ball over. It's really that simple. You talk about everything that you're saying. I don't disagree with a word of it. I'm simply saying that Jason Tatum is that dude. You play on your game. They walk away with this victory in Game 3. Shoot 2 for 3 for 10 from the field. They ain't going to cut it. Yeah. You walk away. You show a bit more efficiency, put up over 20, 24 points a game, all right? You're winning this game. You didn't win this game because Jason Tatum didn't show up primarily more so than anything else, especially once Jimmy Butler went down. Once Jimmy Butler went down, remember, they were down 26. Yeah. They pulled within 1, okay? Jimmy Butler's out. You've got them, but you got to stop turning the ball over, and that's what this comes down to for me with Boston.
All right. I think all valid points on, real quick, I think all valid points on Tatum, and I said at the beginning of the series, so much of Celtics' success in the series will be based on his decision-making. And it's not just the turnovers. It's the shot selection. It's knowing when to go fast, knowing when to go slow. And one X and O thing I just want to point out that I saw in Game 3 is the Heat in the half court, as they were coming up to set high screen and rolls, they know the Celtics are going to switch, just like the Heat are going to switch. They were able to use Bam and P.J. Tucker a bunch. They get into that pick and roll, and instead of slipping into space, they slip to the short roll, and they're getting behind the defense. The Celtics need to do more of that with Al Horford.
Okay.
Like, we can talk about movement, we can talk about play calling all you want. Basketball is a very simple game. Like, how do you create an advantage? They need to create advantages and not just go head on, 1-on-2.
Yes, one more thing. Fair enough. The Boston Celtics in the first 3 games have 48 turnovers. How many do Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum have?
Well, you got the number in front of you.
26.
I know they have 13 in Game 3.
26 turnovers. 16 turnovers by Tatum in 3 games.
Game 4 tonight, 8:30 Eastern on ABC.